big sky, big potential. In association with Mills and Reeve, this is Eastern Promise. Achieving more together. Welcome to the podcast that's your guide to the wide and wonderful world of the East of England. In this episode, we're previewing next week's mission to Leeds, aiming to spread some Eastern Promise. I'm Mike Rigby, and though the UK Real Estate Infrastructure and Investment Forum isn't exactly Christmas, I'm nevertheless joined by three wise men, albeit one at a time. First, I chat to Martin Woodhouse of property development specialist PRD, then to Adrian Davey at Peterborough City Council, before I'm joined by Senior Vice President and Head of UK for Prologis, Paul Weston. That's all to come, plus my UKREiiF action points on this week's Eastern Promise.
I think in recent years, you're starting to see the public sector sort of engage with it more seriously, and that's definitely what's happening this year. So growing their presence there, having a kind of more fixed, bigger kind of pavilions, you know, a richer, deeper sort of set of content and speakers on their panels. And I think it's a really important opportunity for industry and the public sector to sort of come together and engage around those things.
You might be wondering, why all the fuss about this 3-day annual event in Leeds that's mostly about attracting investment for real estate and infrastructure in the UK cities and regions? And then, when you say that sentence aloud, particularly the bit about attracting investment, all becomes clear. Eastern Promise goes there each year for two reasons. First, key experts, thought leaders and decision makers from across the whole of the East of England are there in one place at one time. Second, and most importantly, the whole point of this event is to talk about opportunity and potential. Sound familiar? You bet it does. And those key people I just mentioned will be doing exactly that. To dig a little deeper into the UKREiiF experience and the key messages our region will be looking to convey in 2026, I turned to three experts in the field, from real estate, local government and property development, to find out more.
The idea of a specialist place and economy and delivery practice, we're sort of quite small, we're based in London, but we work around the UK. We've been doing a lot of work over the last couple of years in places like Norwich. So we were working on East Norwich, the Coleman's Mustard Factory, with Homes England and the City Council. We wrote Norwich City Centre's economic growth strategy that's probably within the last 18 months, and was able to sort of make that connection between the ENSRA and the sort of big development potential there and the growth story. So there's something kind of really interesting in that. And then we've also been working kind of quite recently across the whole region, but in Huntingdon and Fenland. So we've been working on these kind of big sort of studies, thinking about infrastructure provision and how that can support housing growth. We also wrote the Huntingdon economic strategy fairly recently. We contributed towards the Peterborough economic strategy. And then quite recently, probably for the last 18 months, I've been working, me and sort of a few colleagues, really closely with the Peterborough team around their growth story and trying to make sense of that and kind of sort of chart a bit of a course forward with it. So, yeah, I think we're definitely talking about the same stuff here, aren't we?
Yes, absolutely. And the dilemma I have now is that everything you've just outlined, I'm thinking, I want to know more about that. But we are here to talk about UKREiiF. But hey, it's my show. I suppose the first thing to ask is, is this your first, I doubt it very much, but is this your first UKREiiF?
No, so this is my fourth UKREiiF. So the first one I went to was the I guess the first reef after COVID, which was quite interesting. That was a bit of a kind of like reconnecting with old friends and old colleagues. There was a nice kind of sort of like buzz around that event. Everybody kind of like coming back together, and then definitely kind of seeing how it's grown over the years in terms of both size but attendance. And I think it's pretty fixed kind of event on the sort of real estate infrastructure calendar. I think in recent years, you're starting to see the public sector sort of engage with it more seriously, and that's definitely what's happening this year. So growing their presence there, having a kind of more fixed, bigger kind of pavilions, a richer, deeper sort of set of content and speakers on their panels. And I think it's a really important opportunity for industry and the public sector to sort of come together and engage around those things. So this year, our big focus is on kind of two areas. So we're sponsoring the Cambridge and Peterborough Pavilion. And so I'm chairing a panel on that pavilion on the Thursday, and there's a number of events going on around there. So kind of supporting the CPCA, Homes England, PCC around those conversations. My colleague has been working on Bristol Temple Quarter for a few years, so he'll be there kind of sort of supporting them. So they're the sort of fixed things. Then, you fill out your diary with kind of other conversations. But I think the really interesting stuff is the things that happens in the margins, the people you bump into, whether they're a connection or you should meet so-and-so, and then you sort of meet them through that. And so you kind of join the dots whilst you're there, and I think going into that event with a, back-to-back schedule can sometimes kind of feel sort of quite restrictive. It's nice to be able to sort of like just see where the conversation goes and flows.
This seems like a great opportunity for you to tell me more about the panel you just mentioned, which is, and I have it in front of me here on this I have on this sheet of paper, unlocking a bold new vision for Peterborough with the Mayoral Development Corporation, which is, again, I said earlier, incredibly exciting to see. Tell us more about what why I think it's obvious why you're involved, but what you want to get out of that and what you want people to take away.
Well, I think a lot's changed within Peterborough over the last couple of years in a really positive way. The Mayor and the CPCA have recently published and launched their local growth plan, which talks about Peterborough being a fast growth city. So significant investment within the city being directed into the city core, population growth, but big focus on new sectors there. So kind of creating space for business and supporting positive growth. We've been working with the CPCA, the City Council and Homes England for about 18 months. And we started off sort of mapping what the opportunity within the city centre looks like from both a land and development and an investment perspective, but also understanding kind of what's going on the ground in Peterborough City Centre. So not just about focusing on new buildings, it's also about focusing on supporting the existing population who use the city centre, gathering their thoughts about how they use the city centre and trying to translate that into a vision for how we support growth there. So that's sort of developed through to us thinking about, okay, we've got a much clearer idea of the potential of the city centre, where it's going. But then it led us to thinking about how CPCA, Homes England, through their strategic partnership, which they've already kind of established across the region, and the City Council could combine their resources. And essentially what was really clear is that everybody wants the same thing. They want to see Peterborough succeed. They want to see it kind of come forward. They want a direct investment into the city centre, but it has to be done in a coordinated way. So getting everybody on the same page, we've been supporting them to do that. And the idea sort of grew out of that sort of co-working for a growth board. So we've been working with the partners to try and very early sort of stages establish that growth board. People have been talking, the Mayor's been talking and the leader quite publicly about sort of establishing that growth board and how that growth board can essentially pool all those resources. It can hold on to that new vision for the city centre as it emerges. It can start to direct things like spatial plans, master plans for the city centre, and it can tell a coordinated sort of joined up story to the market about where Peterborough is going and how exciting that is and how much potential there is there, because there is so much potential, which I can go on to in a short while. The idea of the panel on Thursday is to really sort of dig into a lot of that. So the Mayor will be on there, the leader will be on there, Julia Krause from Homes England will be on the panel. So talking about that joint working, talking about that journey that they've been on so far, but then also talking about where they're going next. And I think kind of quite crucially, talking about what we want to get from UKREiiF 2027. So, we're going to be spending the next sort of 12 months kind of working a lot of this stuff up, going through the detail of it. But in a year's time, we want to be coming back to UKREiiF with a very kind of solid message about directing and attracting investment into Peterborough City Centre. So, really setting out what those partnership opportunities look like. And I think kind of what sits behind that is the idea of a mayoral development corporation being an entity which the market can engage with, and that will ultimately be the vehicle to sort of move a lot of this forward.
In your experience, is something like the mayoral development corporation, exactly as you say, the vehicle that is going to be much more attractive to those inward investors than, say, a broader based coalition?
Yeah, I think it works. It can work in a lot of different ways. I mean, I think what the market needs is and really kind of craves is certainty. Yeah. I think it likes to see that there's a really strong policy base for the public sector to act. I think it wants to see that the public sector is kind of all on the same page, and like there is strong political alignment, which I think there is. And I think that gives it more confidence to kind of come in, because what you're asking the private sector partner to do is fund work from working capital to bring its resources and to kind of operate at risk. So I think the role of the public sector at de-risking a lot of that is really key. A mayoral development corporation is a way to do that. So if we're thinking about assembling land, sorting out policy, kind of being able to sort of like create connections into other funding streams that might be coming from the public sector, potentially out of central government. Those are kind of key things that I think the private sector partner would be looking for. So what we're really trying to do at the moment, and this is, again, the focus of UKREiiF, is to tell that story. So we know that we want to move Peterborough forward. It's really important that we basically tell the market that we're working together in this way to ultimately attract private sector interest and partner with us to move this forward. So I just think it's a really key thing to be doing, and to give that confidence right now, and not kind of cutting any corners, just saying, like, we understand what you need as the market. We think Peterborough is ultimately extremely investable, but we need to define what that opportunity is and kind of bring it to the market.
So what's Martin Woodhouse's prescription then, just to change tack a bit, for a really good, effective UKREiiF?
Wear some comfy shoes would be my number one, because it does get tiring. Get a number of things in your diary, but keep some space for those kind of ad hoc conversations. Because actually I think there's so much value in those things. Definitely sort of engage with everybody there and the people who are on the panels, because I think it's almost sort of once in a year where you can actually get access to those people and have those conversations. And I do think that people are, if not kind of totally, but like the majority of people are there to listen and to talk and to move things forward. And I think that's a sort of measure of the effectiveness of that conference, that you've got all of these people, but actually you are moving the dial on quite a lot of these things, rather than it just being kind of a conference that people are just turning up to and then going, like, you can take an awful lot from it. And it's really interesting, I think, to see the UK industry in one place like that. You do have lots of people with pavilions talking about their own regeneration opportunities and things that they're doing in kind of far-flung sort of corners of the UK that you just weren't aware of. So I think it raises profile and awareness of exactly what we're doing. I don't think that you would read about that in the everyday press about exactly like the scale of what's going on in the country. And there's a lot of kind of doom and gloom out there, isn't there, at the moment? But it's really about how the industry is creatively and innovatively responding to some of those challenges. And and I think it's quite inspiring, I think, to be there and be a part of it. And you definitely feel like, you're in an industry which is trying to be progressive and move forward.
I'll sort of bounce between, I think, maximum 3 pavilions, although I will go and have a look at some more. But even then you see sort of things like, containerized battery storage, and you think, ooh, now then compare this with this. District heating and independent small localized energy grids, and you just start to think, this sounds like something interesting might be brewing. And I just think it's wonderful, and you do get to hear and speak to so many people doing great stuff, and you start to put together this this sort of vision, this picture of a region, a country that's actually a lot happier and a lot more. There's still a lot can be done. An opportunity needs to spread, but it really is it's good for the soul, as I said to somebody this morning. It's good for the soul doing what I do, because you just you get such a good positive image.
Yeah, and I think I totally agree with that. I think also you get this sort of sense of, and this is definitely about us PRD and the way that we like to do business, is how the public sector and the private sector are essentially partnering over these things and these solutions. There really isn't this sort of divide between, is the public sector saying we want to do this and the private sector sort of doing, picking it up. It's about working in partnership to solve these quite tricky problems and move places forward in a way that we can unlock really positive benefit for communities and for population. So that is something which I think is really central to UKREiiF. You get to see kind of on the ground the strength of these collaborations and these relationships.
Okay, so last question. When you, Martin Woodhouse, get to the end of Thursday or on Friday morning, or wherever you're back in the office, and you pause to catch breath, how will you know that UKREiiF it's been a really good year? What will success look like?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I think with all these things, when you come back from these conferences, you do have that kind of feel good feeling, but it's quite easy and quick to sort of just get then back on with the day job and forget everything that went before. It's making those connections. It's the follow-ups are really important, making sure that, we always go through, who did we speak to, kind of write it all down and try and kind of follow up some of those leads. I think it's remembering some of those connections that you've also made. Like, I think you were talking about it there, where you see some of these other exhibitors and people there, you do mind map some of these connections to different parts of your project and where solutions might be. So I think taking some time to sort of take stock of what happened, it's all a bit of a whirlwind. So taking some time to sort of step back and say, okay, I met these people, these are the things, this is what it means and how we might put that back together. You will be seeing them probably in 12 months' time at the next UKREiiF, yes. But try and see them again in between times. And just make the most of it. And if from our perspective as a consultant, if we can get some kind of leads that lead to interesting work that come from it, then even better.
Thank you, Martin. Sponsored by PCC and PRD. Other three-letter acronyms are available. This session explores the regeneration plans of the UK's fifth fastest growing former brick-making city. You are invited to join local leaders as they set out their new vision for the first time and discover how to get involved. Please do take this as Eastern promises hand in the air saying, yes, we would like to be involved. Of course, it's not just property developers at UKREiiF. For an indication of what UKREiiF means to growth and regeneration professionals in the public sector, particularly in local authorities, I turned to Adrian Davey, Interim Strategic Director for Growth and Regeneration at Peterborough City Council.
So there's a few of us going up to UKREiiF, and the idea there is that we're going to sort of promote our developing vision for Peterborough City, working alongside our colleagues at the Cambridgeshire and Peterborough Combined Authority and with Homes England. We've been doing some work. More than 800 people and businesses in Peterborough have responded to a survey that we've carried out, asking them to help us develop a vision for Peterborough City Centre going forward sort of 10, 15, 20 years. And we're working that up into a design and development framework and design guide for the city centre. We've got about 30 sites in the city centre, mostly brownfield sites. About half of them are owned by the council and the other half are in private ownership. And what we're doing, working with the CPCA and Homes England, is putting together a strategy for bringing those forward at scale. So not just as individual sites one at a time, but actually trying to group them together and say, well, what could we do with this whole chunk of the city centre? How do we assemble all that, bring it forward, find the investment partners, the development partners, and indeed using that economic growth and business growth arm of the council find the occupiers, employers who are going to come in and occupy those spaces and help us grow the jobs and the skills and so on. So we're very much looking to encourage people to work with us on that journey. We're at the early stages of forming a growth board, which consists of us, the other two agencies, and we'll probably bring in some independent stakeholders as well. And that growth board is part of a journey towards potentially having a mayoral development corporation. And that would allow us some additional powers in relation to the site assembly and moving things forward at pace and at scale. Peterborough is a wonderful place. It's got an ancient history with flag fen and Bronze Age settlements, the wonderful medieval cathedral. And then we've also got a hugely multicultural, modern population all at the same time. So there's a real mix. So we're trying to modernise the area all around the station, create a second station building on the other side of the tracks to improve access to the railway station. The railway station's really busy. It's obviously on the main line, only takes 50 minutes, just over 45 minutes to get down to London from Peterborough. So it's very, very easy to get to. We're part of the joint Cambridgeshire group, so working together to try and encourage as much investment in the area as possible.
Just going back, I mean, I'll pass through Peterborough on my way to Leeds, as it happens, as I'm sure you will too. So just give me a sense of what it's going to be like for Peterborough City Council on the ground as part of Team CPCA. What are you looking to do? What conversations are you looking to have?
So part of us being there is to try and promote our profile and explain to people and show people who we are and what we are. So on the pavilion, both inside and outside, there will be some digital screens with video footage running for the whole time that the conference is on. And we've put a whole host of sort of video montages together of what's in Peterborough, what Peterborough life's like, partying in the church square and town square, and views of the cathedral and the university, the railway, all of the regeneration that we've already done around the Fletton Quays area. So there's an element of promoting and presenting the place, and then we've got the visioning work we've been doing, explaining, as I was just talking about, where we're looking to move forward in terms of growth and regeneration, and how we're looking to build the city, both in terms of its economic capacity as well as its physical regeneration. And thirdly, I think looking for partners to do that with. As a council, we're very much aware that we're here to facilitate that. We're not intending to carry out all the development ourselves or to own all the buildings at the end, and not to be the one that's employing all the people. We need the private sector to come in and help us with all of that, as well as Homes England and CPCA colleagues. So it's building our profile, explaining what we're doing and where we're going, and then trying to find folks to come and help us deliver that.
I mean, at the risk of telling you things you already know, and there's more for the audience, but obviously Peterborough City Council, you're very modest about being modest there about the importance in the process. You're fundamental, Peterborough City Council, in the process, because it is through your good offices that things eventually get through the planning system, which is as it should be. So when you've got to, I don't know how long you're there, but when we get to Friday morning, let's say, how will you know that Peterborough City Council, and I'm sure you will, has had a great UKREiiF 2026?
It's when we get back to the office on Friday, or working from home or wherever we are. I think if we've got a fair pocket full of business cards or people contacting us, we're taking business cards ourselves, a sort of combination of old-fashioned and modern, if you like, a bit like Peterborough, really. There's all the ancient stuff, but then we've got the modern move forward as well. We've got business cards with the QR code on them, which take us to anyone that gets one. It takes them to the growth and regeneration at peterborough.gov.uk page on the website, and that introduces the team. There's a picture of us all with our details, and then a summary of all the work we're doing, the projects we've already started, like the station, like the redevelopment of the mill, The bridge from Fletton Quays to the embankment is about to start a leisure centre as well. The work that's already happened, as you say, at the university, and the university keeps expanding. So a lot of that information is there for them to follow up. So I guess lots of hits on the website, following on from UKREiiF, people wanting to know more about us, find out more about us, and then continuing to contact us. So I think that's the key result we're looking for, is for people to be contacting us afterwards to say, great to see you, great to meet you at UKREiiF. We want to be involved. How can we, come and join in the growth and regeneration of Peterborough?
Well, I have to say, it is an immensely exciting place, and it's an exciting time. You can't go to ARU Peterborough or the station and not feel, this frisson of possibility and potential just crackling away there. And we will post, however and wherever I share this recording, there will be links below to the webpage you've just laid out. And I have to say, cheekily, I will also stick in a link to the panel I was fortunate enough to chair at UKREiiF in 2024 with Al Kingsley, who's also on the Beginner's Guide to Peterborough, and your chief executive, I think someone from Arup, and other partners, to just really highlight the potential of the station quarter, which was hugely enjoyable.
The other thing that's relatively modern, Mike, sorry to interrupt, is the Discover Peterborough website. So
we will add that.
We've had a really strong move towards developing tourism in Peterborough and trying to sort of G that up a bit. We've got a really, really good team of volunteers who have got involved in that and got stuck in and helped to produce the new website, and are working with the cathedral and others to help bring things forward. We've currently got the world's largest dinosaur inside our cathedral.
Hey,
so you can not only go and see the cathedral, which in itself is magnificent, but you'll also bump into Titanosaur at the same time.
Wow.
Yeah. So we put forward a bid for City of Culture. It was our first bid. It's rare that you win first time round. We were using it as a sort of stepping stone to a more serious bid next time, I think. Great to encourage people to see that as well. And other, we've got, as we've already mentioned, Flag Fame. We've got Rail World as well, which is a great tourist destination in Peterborough. There's quite a lot to do and see in Peterborough, and the more people know about us, the more interested they'll be in coming to visit and working with us.
And on that note, and as a final question, what can Eastern promise with our remit, our no moan remit, our remit to be unremittingly positive and really shining that spotlight, sometimes like this in video, sometimes in sound, on the places of the east of England and really shouting about their potential? Whether at UKREiiF or no, how can I help you?
I think spreading the word about Peterborough. Peterborough has got an interesting ancient and medieval history. At the same time, it's got a modern, multicultural population, and we've got sites and opportunities for business that you won't get in other cities that are less than an hour's commute to London. We've got opportunities to say 30-odd sites that are ready to be developed to provide new offices, retail, housing for people at a fraction of the cost of what it would be elsewhere within a 50-minute railway trip into central London. And it's a real opportunity. And we've got political parties of all different colours, all lined up, wanting to work together, central government supporting us. And it's a really exciting place to come and start up your company or expand an existing one.
And there's that beautiful Lido that if I did not hate public swimming, I would be very delighted. I'd be pleased to take in an exam.
90 years old this year.
Whoa!
90, so we're having birthday parties for it, and at the same time developing what you might call its cousin next door. So we're doing an indoor sports centre and leisure centre with a 25-metre pool and a teaching pool and stuff, gym. Cafe, etc. as well. So whether you wanted to swim outside or inside, we can cater for both.
Well, you've certainly got hooked me in on the cafe, so that's all right.
My huge thanks to Adrian Davey, and you can find all the website links Adrian mentioned, including Discover Peterborough, in the notes to this podcast. Finally, it was a pleasure to grab some time with Paul Weston, Senior Vice President and Head of Region for Prologis. This is not just because Paul is a thoroughly nice chap, and he is. It's not solely because he'll be on stage at UKREiiF, though he will. It's also because Prologis has, as the crown jewel in its mighty portfolio, the Cambridge Biomedical Campus. I asked Paul to tell me more about this, and also the panel upon which he's appearing.
Prologis people will know us mainly as we're the world's largest owner of logistics and industrial space. About 3% of global GDP goes through our buildings, and we've got just shy of $250 billion, and it's $250 billion of asset management. So it's a big business in that respect. Not actually big in terms of numbers of people. There's about 2,800 in the business globally, and we cover 20 of the world's leading markets, basically, in terms of supply chain and so on. But we're also a very entrepreneurial business. We're very invested into data centers today, modern infrastructure, critical infrastructure, and we got involved with Cambridge initially 6 years ago when we bought a business in America called Liberty that also happened to have a business in the UK. And that was the business that had actually started as development partner at Cambridge Biomedical Campus sort of back in 2003. So we're relatively new to the sector as Prologis, but as a global business, a global investor, we get the real estate. We're building on what Liberty had done for a number of years, and now we've been able to sort of put our own stamp on it by actually we've invested 250 million roughly into the biomedical campus in the last couple of years with 1000 Discovery Drive, which is fully leased, and now we're on to 2000 Discovery Drive as well, which is a real opportunity for the campus to continue its growth. And then beyond that, we've been selected as development partner for the county council on what's known as phases 3 and 4, which is a 60 odd acre, 2.4 million square foot expansion of the campus that will have an end value of around about $4 billion. So significant, growth, doubling the size of the campus and so on.
So just want to talk about the specific panel you're taking part in, which is Prologis is also sponsoring. And for those who don't have their programmes in front of them, if not, why not? It's the Cambridge and Peterborough Combined Authorities Pavilion at UKREiiF, Tuesday the 19th of May at 3 p.m. And you're, as you well know, taking part in the panel that you're also sponsoring, entitled The Next Generation of Cambridge Biomedical Campus. The aforementioned Mayor Paul Bristow will be joining you, Catherine Chapman, who we know well, Executive Director of Innovate Cambridge, and Kristin Ann Rutter, Executive Director of Cambridge University Health Partners, who, to my abiding shame, we do not know very well on Eastern Promise, so hopefully we can correct that. But can you give us an idea of the points that you're particularly keen to cover in that talk, and you really want the audience to take away with them?
Yeah, I think for me, it's about the scale of the opportunity. Cambridge Biomedical Campus is one of the few global opportunities that the UK has to really showcase its leadership and thought leadership in the life science sector. And it should be on a par with Kendall Square, what's going on in Beijing and so on. And the challenge for us is really, as the campus now looks to double in size with this $3 billion investment, how we take it to that global audience and we take it to that next level. Now, it's not just about a real estate solution. This is about proper partnership. It is about us working with key stakeholders in Cambridge, on the campus, across the UK, to really showcase what we can offer and offer on a global stage. So that for me is where that opportunity is, that opportunity of bringing scale, of bringing capital, bringing new investment. And that's fine. We can help provide the real estate, but we need help from the science and the scientists and the people who are a damn sight cleverer than I am to be able to really showcase the whole thing and what the offer is for UK PLC.
You're right that we need the science to sort of be there to kind of back up the argument we're making, and I know it is. But what's the balance for Prologis at UKREiiF between offering up the opportunities of the Cambridge Biomedical Campus itself and offering it up as a demonstrator, if you like, to what Prologis can do elsewhere in the world?
Yeah, I think one of the things about being the scale of the business we are and the balance sheet that we have is that we can bring that capital, we can bring that investment. We're a long-term owner and investor, so it's very much about bringing that certainty. And when we invest, we invest with Prologis balance sheet, but ultimately we also bring in global investment partners as well. So, there are some of the largest investors in the world work in partnership with us. So our opportunity is how we bring that secret sauce, to use one of those wonderful American phrases, but how we bring that to bear within different locations. And we need to adapt on the ground, which is why we have a UK business, for example. So Cambridge will have its own specific needs, requirements in terms of what we can help deliver as the real estate. And that's where the sort of science and real estate comes together, because, the opportunity at the campus, it's not perfect today. We need hotel space, we need incubator space, innovation space, startup space, as well as space that can be there for the larger businesses, the next AstraZeneca or Abcam or what have you to come along. So that is the challenge that's out there that we're very keen to, we want to accept, we want to pull that together. So for me, what UKREiiF does, it gives us the opportunity to have some of those conversations and to build relationships. I met Catherine Chapman a few weeks ago, and it was really interesting to hear what Innovate Cambridge is doing and how they can help us and the campus really start to develop an innovation incubator solution as well, to sort of tie in with the other locations around Cambridge that are looking at similar things and already have those. But yeah, it's that opportunity just to join those dots. That's what UKREiiF can give us.
So you talked a bit earlier, and I think this is really interesting, about being selected by Cambridgeshire County Council about the next steps on the biomedical campus. And I'm just really interested to understand where, once that's all done, dusted, and you're ready to rock, as it were, what does that process look like for Prologis?
Cambridge Biomedical Campus Limited is a group of the occupiers on site that have a very strong voice and views around how the vision for the campus going forward. Our job is very much to work in lockstep to make sure that we can deliver a campus not just for today but over the next 10, 20, 30 years. With the next phase of development, we're starting only now on the local plan process. So there's a new emerging local plan. The next stage really is starting that consultation, looking at how we evolve what is an existing sort of vision document into a comprehensive master plan that we can then start to move through the planning process. So we can't do that on our own. We need to we need to listen, we need to consult, we need to work with partners to make sure that we're ticking the boxes to make sure that this is a campus, as I said a moment, not just for now, but that can be very effective in 20, 30 years' time as well, and be that global, centre of excellence that really puts the UK on the map and attracts other investment beyond our own. We want, we want other businesses to get involved to come here, and that's absolutely vital for UK, for growth, for our economy going forward as well.
So we heard yesterday that the new railway station at Cambridge South opens on the 28th of June. And personally, I'm really looking forward to taking that first, because I believe it'll be on the direct line from Norwich down to Stansted Airport. And I'm looking forward to that first journey and the access that sort of opens up to Eastern Promise, to sort of go in and meet people and talk to more people on the biomedical campus than we have hitherto. So what do you expect? What does Prologis expect the impact of that to be in terms of promoting the campuses, if you're probably already doing same, and hang on a minute, and how helpful is the opening ahead of next week in UKREiiF to actually say we've got an actual date now?
I'd say it's a godsend. It was a great bit of news when that landed. Might have only been yesterday. We've been waiting to get that opening date for probably a little bit too long, to be honest. But for the campus, it is a game changer, I think, in terms of that. And look, it's not just about connectivity to London, but you're 49 minutes from King's Cross and, the Crick Institute, Francis Crick Institute, and everything that's down there. But it's that interconnectivity. Cambridge is a medieval city that is having a lot of new additions to it, and infrastructure is absolutely key, because if we can't get people to these places, I mean, you may as well shut up shop. So infrastructure like this, East-West Rail, CSET, when that comes along as well, are all absolutely vital. This is a brilliant first step. And it is great news. I know, the likes of AstraZeneca have been championing this for years as well. So it's the right sort of investment, and hopefully coming on at the right time as well. So as we look to expand the campus, one of the challenges, I think, for Cambridge as a city is clearly we need to attract the right sort of talent to work in the labs and to do the discovery, the science. But we also need people to work in the hospital. We're going to need a whole load of people to build buildings, maintain buildings, and so on. So the opportunity is much wider than the campus itself. It's what that investment, not just in the station, but in sustainable transport, in the growth of the campus, growth of other parts of Cambridge, can do for everybody. And this could be people who are further up in the fens, can they now get to Cambridge South, 20 minutes or what have you. It starts to open up a whole different opportunity for people to get skills, get training, get jobs, and then what does that mean for housing and so on. So it's one part of the jigsaw. I'm so much looking forward to more coming in as well, because that will really help this city.
I mean, you're right. That is a profoundly exciting, I think, interesting conversation.
The growth company as well. If you said on my wish list, what do I want the growth company to do, or the DevCo to be? I want them to enable that infrastructure. I want them to be making sure that we can get this, the wastewater sorted. I want them to help, define what CSET looks like and where it's going to go, working with the mayor. I want to make sure we're getting those big bits of infrastructure like East-West Rail and so on, working its way through. That there's enough in, as a private sector developer, we can work with public, we can deliver what we can control. We can't control everything. So that's where that whole partnership bit comes in, and where you need bigger government or whatever and that vision to really help make some of this infrastructure happen, so that the vision for Cambridge and the impact much more beyond the city is where that, for me, that opportunity is, that comes with that measured infrastructure investment.
So when you've got to Friday morning or whenever you come up for air from UKREiiF, what will a successful UKREiiF 2026 look like to Paul Weston?
So Hopefully, and actually, please pop into our. We don't have a big pavilion. We have quite a small little tent on Pavilion Square, but feel free to pop in. I will be.
Oh, I shall.
Thereabouts, and maybe you can ask me some questions. Then that might be a sort of interview in the moment. But for me, it is going to be around. Have I had the opportunity to have time with people that, in a way, can make a difference to our business? Have I had the opportunity to really state what we're about and what we're doing, and have I managed to get over what Prologis can bring to Cambridge? That we are a serious long-term investor, and we're here to work in partnership with people. I want people to go away from the conversation on the 19th of May thinking, I've seen how public and private can come together, and it's a really powerful mix. So for me, being able to walk away, and I think it's Thursday when I'll be going back, but probably exhausted because it'll be one of those sort of breakfast, dinner meetings, never mind everything in between. That to me would be really good.
Final question then. What's Paul Weston's, your number one tip for making your most of your time at UKREiiF?
I'm going to say probably planning in the sense that get your meetings arranged early, but give yourself time for those moments when you'll bump into someone and say, let's just go and have a cup of coffee, because sometimes they really, really productive. The scale of it, and I'm sure you're going, it's grown and grown and grown. I don't know whether they're looking at 16,000 people this year, maybe more. And I think there were 13,000 last year. First time we went, there were about 8. But it's massive. There's a huge amount of things going on. It's just, target who you want to try and get together with and see if you can find that time. But leave yourself a little bit of time to just have that walk round, and you never know what might happen, who you might bump into, or you might just go and walk into a tent, listen to something, come and listen to me. And then you, on the back of that, go and say, actually, I'm going to try and find Paul, and maybe that brings an opportunity for someone else. So that for me would be my tip. Plan, but give yourself a little bit of time in there for those moments.
Do you know, I'm really looking forward to hearing what Paul has to say in Leeds. Indeed, my huge thanks go to Paul, to Adrian and to Martin for joining me through the power of the interweb. You can find links to Peterborough City Council, Prologis and the UKREiiF website, including a searchable programme of the event, in the links to this podcast. But don't go looking just yet until you've heard these pulse-pounding action points.
Action points! Action points! Action points!
OK, let's get started with these UKREiiF action points.
1.
For those not going to UKREiiF this year, especially if you've never heard of it, don't make the mistake of thinking UKREiiF isn't relevant to you or to us here in the east of England. It is. Take a look at the programme for this year's event and ask yourself whether you and your organisation need to be there in 2027.
2.
If you are on the ground in Leeds, remember to heed Paul, Adrian and Martin's sage advice. It's not all about the panels. You never know who you'll meet or what sort of fruitful conversations you might have. Leave yourself time to visit other stands and pavilions. The joy is in the discovery.
3.
Don't be a stranger. Eastern Promise is at UKREiiF this year to amplify the voices of our region. If you're in Leeds and you see me with all my recording kit, come and say hello and tell our listeners why you're there and what they're missing. And remember to say the phrase that pays. Hi, Mike. I've got real Eastern Promise. If you're wondering how much the phrase pays, it's more of a notional amount for bookkeeping purposes. episode 168 of the Eastern Promise podcast. I have been Mike Rigby, and will be so again next week, as you join me not for one episode, but two! Our legendary Yesterday at the Show episodes will bring you the best of the East of England on Tuesday the 19th and then Wednesday the 20th of May, recorded on the ground at UKREiiF in Leeds. I'll be chatting to some of our region's finest who've gathered there for the purpose of shouting about the East of England, just like we do. It's also my pleasure to be working hand in glove with the Cambridge Growth Company on our UKREiiF coverage this year, so you'll definitely want to listen to that twice. Don't miss it. Until then, bye for now. To hear other episodes of the Eastern Promise podcast and to find out more about what we do, go to our website at easternpromise.org.uk. Eastern Promise is a Pudding Shed production in proud association with Mills & Reeve. Achieving more together.